St. Lucia, this is Open Mic, and we are now back in the second segment of our program. We want to touch a bit on the situation with the impacts report and the Director of Public Prosecutions. This is a very worrying situation because when you look at it, we have our Prime Minister, who is the one that was instrumental in bringing down the Jamaican people to do the impact study. And on the other hand, you have the Prime Minister passing it over to the Director of Public Prosecution for analysis. It is felt by many in St. Lucia that the DPP took far too long to give a response, and you have another sector of St. Lucia saying that the Prime Minister mishandled the whole affair because really and truly, since he gave the instructions to the Jamaican personnel, that report should have gone directly. He could have kept a copy, but he could have sent it directly to the DP before his input, because it is felt that what he did has actually tarnished the situation. And you know, it's a very worrying situation when I see that our government on one side says something and our DPP says another. You know, to me, it extends a level of confusion. And as a matter of fact, last night I listened to, no, sorry, it was Wednesday night, it was, on the former Minister of National Security, Mr. Guy Mayers, who elaborated in detail what his views were, and there's no better person than him, because he was in the job, and you know, to a certain extent, his reputation was online because of what happened. And it is a very sad situation. What is your take on that?
First, let me say that from listening to what has been taking place, a lot of people many of us tend to forget one individual, and this is the police commissioner at the time, who is now taking early retirement, and he was the first person that came to mind, because I immediately said that if I was him, I would demand my job back, and not only that, I probably would sue the government. But let us go back to the impacts and the DPP. The DPP is quite right. There's no two ways about it. And this is a lady that I admire, a humble person, you know, and she has no frills about her and things of that sort. She made it clear that what she received was a report. Mm-hmm. Now, how can a DPP bring about any form of prosecution with a report? A report that did not even, as she says, comply with our laws. But not only that, you are telling me the evidence is there, but she hasn't got the evidence. That she has to, if she didn't have sufficient, to ask for the evidence. That does not make sense. You know, what it is, if you are sending something to the DPP to be prosecuted, to take people to court, because you cannot send, and especially if the report is based on circumstantial evidence. I mean, well, how could she go ahead and make a prosecution or prosecute anyone? But send all what you have to the DPP and let the DPP then come to some sort of decision as to whether to prosecute or not to prosecute. You cannot say that she had to send to get whatever evidence that is necessary if she wanted to do so. You know, when you are holding, or whoever it is holding the evidence, it does not make sense to me. And consequently, I think the DPP is right that the impacts has nothing that she can say that she can work with. Mm-hmm. The idea that, oh, she can still, you know, further go on. To me, you know perfectly well, they knew perfectly well that the DPP was going on pre-retirement leave. Mm-hmm. You know, as far as I'm concerned, that it looks as though this impacts was designed in a manner that the DPP would hold the bag, so to speak, and that the government. What I want to know is the first thing: if the evidence is there, Where did it originate from? Who originated the whole impacts affair? You know, starting from what happened at the embassy in Barbados. That is where I want to go. Who highlighted that there were extrajudicial killings in St. Lucia to the Barbados consulate of America in Barbados? That is what I want to know. Which police officer who actually saw guns being planted? I want to know all of those things before I can make a judgment as an ordinary person. I should be able to read the impact. The Prime Minister should not come on TV and tell me this is some of the toxic thing of the impacts, and then says I will then send it to the DPP, because the DPP is saying that this was done on television on the 7th of March and she received it on the 8th of March. Shouldn't it have gone to the DPP before anything was said on television?
Yeah, well that is what I think, and that is what Guy Mayers indicated last night.
Correct.
That it was badly handled.
Badly handled.
But more importantly, from what I'm hearing, that of those supposedly 12 extrajudicial killings, yes, some 9 of them, they have already completed the inquest for them.
Inquest has been completed, yes.
And as Guy Mayers said last night, in America, the same thing happens when they have their system, and it's either the people are guilty or not.
Correct.
Yeah, it is very, very sad what has happened, because it has jeopardized our security system and tarnished.
And the police force is the only security force we have.
Yeah.
We don't even have a military a detachment to say that yes, we have something like Jamaica or even Barbados. We only have the police force
to rely on.
All these things for us.
Yeah, and you can't afford to jeopardize people like that. They're too important. Now, while we, I know that our time is so very short, on the whole situation. I want to now look at that whole Dr. Tuvali situation. It is a very sad situation, because again, you're hearing two sides of the story. You hear the government side, and you hear the opposition side. And the point I think people are missing when they keep on saying, well, you know something, that's just a personal matter between two people. This is wrong, because this is a very powerful individual. The man is worth $4 billion, okay? Now, whether what I think has been said generally, you are quite correct. We're not interested in his divorce case. We are now concerned with St. Lucia's reputation. It is making the headlines in the United Kingdom. And I think, honestly, the powers that be need to come forward and say exactly what is going on. I, for instance, heard Dr. Hiller a couple of days ago, and he said how much that Dr. Tuvali loved St. Lucia when he came here, and basically on the strength of his feeling for St. Lucia and because of his credentials abroad, that he felt it fitting that this man should be brought on board. But by the same token, what St. Lucians are asking, this appointment took place in, I think, 2014, and nobody knew. So why the secrecy? And that is the concern. And at this point in time, if Dr. Tuvali has nothing to hide, why not just say, look at me, for the good of St. Lucia, I'm prepared to deal with my personal issues and come back and work for you all. But also, the Prime Minister talks about a diabetic center. But why wasn't it done a year and a half ago?
Exactly.
Why is only until this thing has come out that we're hearing this thing? What is your take on all of that?
Well, my take on this, in the first place, is that we should cherish the what we call citizenship. Prime Minister González said that there were 4 things as far as citizenship was concerned. I think he said 1 was being born the citizen. He said 2, marriage. He said 3, naturalization, and But he said that the 5th he would never go down that road.
Yeah, I heard that.
Never go down that road because, and he made it clear, and I was surprised because I thought he was a good friend of St. Lucia and the government of St. Lucia. And when he made the remark that it's only a government that is desperate that goes down the fifth way,
He actually said so.
something in that
Yeah,
effect.
okay.
Now, something to that effect, not desperate, but in need of money
yeah.
that does these things. Because he will not touch it, he will not go down that route. Then you have to ask yourself, why are we going down that route? Why? And St. Vincent is much smaller than us.
You know, I'll tell you something, Dennis. For the last 25 to 30 years, I have completely commented on what they call the land aliens holding license.
Yes.
And Sir Vincent Flosac, who's a personal friend of mine, you know, who's a well-read guy, explained everything to me. That thing should have been thrown out years ago. We've hung on to that for 35 or 40 years, okay? And all of a sudden, the pendulum has just swung to the other side.
Correct.
You know, when in fact, I did make a comment at the Chamber of Commerce that St. Kitts alone has sold 40,000 passports.
Correct.
And these people are OECS, they hold OECS passports. So they can actually come to St. Lucia and pay nothing at all. Now, you know, what I'm trying to say is that if another concern that I have, since these people can come to St. Lucia, what level of security has been extended to those people who already have those passports, when I'm hearing St. Kitts itself is now talking about all those with no more Syrian passports.
Syrian
But
passport,
what about
correct.
those that may have already come into the net?
But let me get in there very quickly.
Yeah.
The idea here is the British press has really taken this thing up very seriously.
Okay.
The Guardian, the Times, you know, the Daily Mail, and as you recently I saw something where MPs are furious about that.
Yeah, I saw.
You know, now for me, when you are thinking that the difference between us and that is our media is that their media will really investigate this in depth, because it's not only the gentleman himself, but we hear now that his daughter is representing us in Saudi Arabia. She's already a Saudi Arabian. Why she has to, you know?
Dennis, this is a very heated subject.
I know.
But we have come to the end of the second segment of our program. We'll be right back.